Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Mike Smith. Thank you very much for downloading and subscribing to the show. Please visit the main website at miketechshow.com. You can email me questions and suggestions for show topics at miketechshow@gmail.com. Don't forget to visit my YouTube page, youtube.com/MichaelSmithMTS. There you can get all of the videos that I record for each show. This show is brought to you by Instant House Call. If you are an IT pro or an MSP, this is what you need. Great new version released that when you have multiple monitors, you literally will have a screen come up for each monitor, and that makes it so much nicer to be able to go between multiple monitors. Love it, because every client I have now has either 2 or 3 monitors, most of my clients. So if you want robust remote support, Instant House Call, that is your answer. You can get a free 15-day trial by going to instanthousecall.com and use the promo code MikeTechShow for that free trial. All right. This show is also brought to you by MagnusBox. MagnusBox, the best online secure backup for your customers. You can easily get a demo and get all the same features as partners have right now, and you can test them out. There's no limited versions. You get the full shebang in testing. Check it out. MagnusBox supports all operating systems. They are HIPAA compliant. You can back up Office 365 and SharePoint. This is what you need. Go to magnusbox.com and get your free demo going now. And don't forget, tell them you heard it on the Mike Tech Show, because you'll get free white labeling for your company logo and company branding, and also 50% off the first 3 months of the platform fee. Give it a try. magnusbox.com. I have a great show this afternoon. It's Saturday, November 26th, right after Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving if you were celebrating it. I have an email tip. We're going to talk about VLC, why I had to bring that up with a client, and love it, and waiting to hear what the type of client and why they needed it. Windows 11 supported CPUs, and this ties into Black Friday from yesterday. Some software, the bulk crap uninstaller, we're going to talk about. I have a bunch of things, so let's get started. So as I begin, I took 2 weeks off. I had a week where my wife and I were in Disney, and we also celebrated. My birthday was November 17th, and I thank everybody for all the wonderful birthday wishes. I really appreciate that. And that Monday of that week, I was in Epcot with my wife. And this is a note to self. When I'm traveling and on vacation, especially in Disney, do not schedule your son for work all day that Monday, because now I didn't really have a backup on Monday. And of course, that's the day my phone just blows up. So let's talk about a few things for that Monday. And some stuff my client had to understand that I wouldn't be getting to it until Monday evening when I got back to the hotel. So the first was a problem where an email from a client, my client's client, would not get delivered. It kept being blocked, kept going into spam, and he had trouble receiving that. And that means you have to whitelist that client. And you can do it with any email provider. And that's the big thing that I'm managing with SureWeb and Microsoft for Exchange Hosted. When I have a client that complains that they're not receiving something, I said, give me the exact email, go in, whitelist it. So I quickly made a note on my phone. I told my client, send me the exact email address. And Monday night, when I got back to the hotel, I whitelisted it because this was a SureWeb client. And lo and behold, Tuesday, he was like, it's working great, Mike, thanks. VLC, and why I want to, if you haven't heard of VLC, and anybody who's listened to this show I know has, it's the ultimate music and video player where you don't need to download separate codecs. It just plays everything. And have a law firm where the one client was receiving critical video as evidence of camera footage for a case, and they couldn't play the video that was sent them. I said, can you hang in there till Monday night? I said, just leave your system on. So I remoted in on Monday night. I downloaded VLC. They told me where that file was, and I was able to play it. So Tuesday, all was great. There was so many other things. A CPA firm hired 2 new people and needed VPN accounts set up and configured. I had to do that. So, man, I had a couple hours of work on Monday night when I got back. And luckily, everything except the following I was able to do without any help from my son, except for the following emergency where a client called me, their system would not boot. So 2 things. One, whenever a system doesn't boot, it sometimes is because of an update. So we always walk them through pulling the power plug, wait a couple minutes, plug it back in, and start up. And about 90% of the time, that fixes the problem. This one didn't. So the next one is sometimes the BIOS gets messed up and it doesn't see the hard drive because the boot arrangement changed. And I can walk anybody through that over the phone. My son's much better at it than I am. No joy. That didn't work. So I said, when my son is done, his last appointment, he will come by and see what's going on. And he always keeps a solid state drive with him. Here we have a solid state drive that went bad. And he had to put that in. And this is after he had an on-site support with another CPA firm where he was doing a lot of updates, and there was just a lot of things for scanning from the new copier they got, and it was just a whole bunch of things for on-site support. And the only time they had was Monday morning. And then Monday afternoon, the new law firm that's now a client of ours, this was the first meeting to get his assessment where he was going to run SIW on every computer, sit and talk and meet with them. This was the first on-site visit. And again, that was Monday. After that visit, he headed to the company with the dying machine, and he texted me, Dad, this drive is bad. So put a new drive in, reinstalled Windows 10, set up a lot of things except the custom software for FileMaker Pro. I said, Michael, just leave the system on like normal. I'll remote in Monday night, and I will finish installing the custom software that they have, which is, it was all written in FileMaker, and it's for managing all of their clients and a lot of readings and pictures and things and stuff. This is an inspection company, so great being able to install that remotely. So I took care of a lot of things, and we were just lucky that they could wait till Monday night. That was literally Monday. And it sounds like, boy, I didn't have any fun or didn't. These were quick calls or quick replies to emails that I was able to manage all of this and just offload it to the evening, and glad I was able to do that. So for links in the show notes, the first one is VLC. That is a great free player that we make that actually default. I don't know why it wasn't installed on this one system, because we make VLC as part of, you can install that via Ninite. Every new system we roll out, we make sure that that is on it. So now let's fast forward real quick to yesterday, which was Black Friday. This is another CPA firm where the last year and a half, 2 years, they're not on retainer. They have been using an employee to do their IT support. We haven't been getting any calls from them. And we've been so busy, it's like I haven't really reached out, but they could reach out anytime to us. Well, they reached out yesterday morning. System won't boot. System boots. Person forgot their password. And there's no backdoor. There's no, we didn't set this system up. We didn't buy it. We didn't set it up. So what happened to their internal IT support? Well, he quit. And they have no information. I said, well, how many systems did they set up? Well, quite a few, it seems. I was like, is BitLocker installed? They have no idea. Because we need the BitLocker key if we're going to reset the password. Now, my son will be out there 9 a.m. Monday morning. Hopefully they found the BitLocker key, or the person did not BitLocker it. We don't know, because we haven't been part of any of their system setups, which is their first realization that, well, you should have a real IT support company supporting your systems. And especially with a CPA firm that falls under some compliance where they should be BitLocker because they have all laptops, and they should have proper antivirus, anti-ransomware. Don't even know if they're keeping up with that. So there's a bunch of things that my son's going to do a recon, and I'm sure they will be back as a client trusting us. Let's see if they learn their lesson. I don't know. And because we would have never, ever had an issue where we didn't have a backup of their BitLocker key. Everything would be always set up for whatever compliance or whatever they need. And let's see what happens. So there'll be more on that story after Monday. So with Black Friday, I had to recommend some systems, and I didn't want to go through purchasing for someone. These are casual clients. Matter of fact, one of them is my handyman from Florida who has done all the work in the house and everything. He needs a system for his fiance, inexpensive but yet will work. I found Newegg yesterday had some really great specials and some really great discounts. And even on a refurbed laptop, it was a Core i5. Now, you'll never be able to install Windows 11, but it was Windows 10 Pro, came with a year warranty, was at an HP, and had 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig SSD, and was $214. I was like, that's a great purchase for a system that you're only going to need for a couple years. And that's exactly how I described it. Then another system for someone, I recommend it. Now they need a newer system and 3 years of warranty, and found a nice Dell Optiplex that was new. So, 12th generation Core i7, 16 gigs of RAM, again, 512 gig SSD, and it was a great price, like $600, and it was a couple hundred off yesterday, and it came with Windows 11 Pro. Very happy. Now, one of the things that you have to know, and this I'm making sure now's the time. Since Windows 10 will no longer be supported in 2025, everybody has to go to Windows 11. So when we're getting ready to talk to a client about a new system, we have the Windows 11 conversation. They can save a ton of money on a refurb that won't run Windows 11, and they'll have it for a couple years, but eventually they're going to have to get another computer. You have to make sure that Windows 11 is going to be supported, especially now as we're moving into 2023, in another month. So the next link, and I just put this in the chat and it will be in the show notes, from Microsoft, the Windows 11 supported Intel processors. So this is a good list that you can go through to make sure that the CPU is Windows 11 compatible. So now we got to make sure, like I have a couple old refurbs that run great. If I'm going to sell that to a client, now I have to have that Windows 11 conversation because I don't want them coming back in 2 years saying, hey, this system can't run Windows 11 and I just bought it from you only 2 years ago. Got to get that out of the way. And that's why I wanted to make sure to take a couple minutes. Are you doing that with your clients and having that discussion? Now, one of the things I'm fortunate having the RMM Synchro, I get the CPU, everything. I'll know exactly who can run Windows 11, who can't, because I'm going to have some serious conversations in 2024 for budgeting, letting my client know, hey, you got 15 computers that we're going to have to replace, and you need to start thinking about budgeting that. So towards 2023, I'll make sure I know if they even go through that for their IT budget and they start planning, got to make sure they're planning for the hardware replacements. And you should be doing the same with your clients, because there's going to be a point. Everybody's going to have to be Windows 11, and we want to make sure that can happen. So that is the next link that's going to be in the show notes. I ran into this from reading my digital version of PC World. I get 2 digital subscriptions, Maximum PC and PC World, and I still get that, and I read them on my iPad, and I've been behind. So I finally got a hold of the last issue I started reading on PC World, and there was a program that I have never used, and I installed it and ran it. It's Bulk Crap Uninstaller, and there's a portable version. Link is going to be in the show notes, and I think that's important to have a portable version. I mean, I love Revo, and that's great, but this program identified some programs that you can't see to uninstall, like some of those Xbox programs that come with Windows that you would love to get rid of and you can't uninstall it. Guess what? This can take care of that. So something to look at, and even though it does an analysis and comes up with everything, don't uninstall something that you're not sure of without doing the research, because you could be getting rid of a critical driver or a program. Just because you don't recognize it doesn't mean you should uninstall it. So just a word to the wise in using this, be careful. And this is a good program. Oop, the cat is at my feet. I closed both doors, but my cat has learned how to open doors. So, all right. Let's get to some email. And I have a couple links from the emails. So Kate from Canada, I know you'll be interested in this, and sent me a link. Bending Spoons. Boy, sounds like the Matrix, right? Bending Spoons acquires Evernote, making the end of an era. That is the article that I'm going to have a link. Kate, thank you. It's interesting that I never heard of bending spoons. And so what does this mean? I'm going to get to the bottom here. Another feather in its software cap, it would seem. It's a European tech company that makes apps like Video Editor Splice, a 30-day fitness live quiz and photo editor, Remi, Remini, which combined have about 100 million users. So don't know what's going to happen for Evernote, but just keep a watch on that space. Now, interesting that Evernote, in this article, they mention competition for Evernote called Notion. And I searched my website. Did I ever talk about Notion? Has anyone ever emailed me about Notion? No. At least I couldn't find anything, and I don't remember it. So this is competition for Evernote. And I thought that was interesting that they mentioned that in this article. And so I'm putting that out there, which is another, workspace for teams and every team, and might be worth trying out. There's a free version, and then of course there's a monthly paid version. Something to check out, and it's called Notion. So Kate, thank you. She knows how I am. I always talk about wanting to leave Evernote, but never do it because I haven't found anything that was perfect yet. And I'm just so committed, even though I hate the new versions of Evernote, and I'm still sucked into that world. This is from Will, and he had a QuickBooks question, and I'm going to read that, my response, and then his follow-up. He has a client using QuickBooks Premier 2012. First off, I didn't ask what operating system are they using that on, because 2012 doesn't work with Windows 10 or Windows 11, because anything prior to 2015 doesn't work. I bet you this was an in-place update, that it was working with Windows 7, did the in-place update, and it kept working. So they're interested in getting a new computer. Unfortunately, they loaned the software, including the activation key, to someone. Now, I know there's activation keys, but you can reactivate. You don't need that same key. And that was something that, as we were going back and forth. And they don't want to go with the paid subscription going into 2022. And where could he even buy that software? And the problem is, on a new system, you're going to have from scratch Windows 10 or Windows 11, most likely Windows 11, and you're going to have to install the latest, greatest version. So here's what happened. I also said, remember, this is so critical with QuickBooks. You can hit the F2 key once you open QuickBooks, and it gives you the license number, the product key number, where that database is really located. Anytime we're doing anything where someone has QuickBooks, we want them to load their main database. Actually, I want them to load every database that they run so I can see exactly where they're all located. And we do a snippet of that information when you hit the F2 key. That is very important, and we keep that for our records on our client. So I told him all this, and he did learn that trick. But hey, with QuickBooks 2012, he's got to go to a newer version and update. So he found a copy of 2021, and then researched what he's going to have to do to go from 12 to 2021. He's going to have to install the trial version of QuickBooks 2015. Go from 12 to 15. Then he's going to have to install the trial version of QuickBooks 18 and go from 15 to 18. Then he can load that file and upgrade it to 2021. What's the lesson here? I know people want to save money. I know, and it's always the smaller companies that will not upgrade and will not update. Now you're into a situation like this where it gets risky. Yes, the companies insist upon you updating it because they want to make more money. And I am against, not against making money, but I hate forced upgrades like this. But there's a reason now, and you can't get too far behind. You need to stay up to date as best as you can to avoid complicated conversions of data. And QuickBooks, I've seen ugly things happen where we've had to take the database, open a case with Intuit, and have them expertly update it, and that costs money. So you can put yourself in a worse situation by not upgrading that could end up costing you more than had you updated. So keep that in mind. If any of your clients have old versions of QuickBooks, counsel them. You don't want to get too far ahead, or you're going to have to go through expensive, because it's going to be your time, getting the trial, installing it, doing that update, cross your fingers that it works, then another trial and another update. So you can reference this story as a reason why you would want to stay on top of the updates. So, Will, thanks for the email, and we went back and forth with what he's doing and what he's kind of finalized on with QuickBooks with his client. All right. So a couple things. Next week, I'm going to be back in Florida. I'm in Pennsylvania right now. So during the week, Wednesday, my son Ryan and I, we fly down. We're going to be next weekend literally at the 97X Next Big Thing 2-day event with a festival, lots of groups, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Went to that last year and can't wait to go again. And we're flying down Wednesday. And so Thursday, I am going to be in Florida. So look for a show. Unless something happens, I will Facebook and Twitter about it. But show next Thursday. And then we're going to see, I think we're on a normal schedule for December, where then I come back on Tuesday and I will have like 3 more weeks here in Pennsylvania. And then it's Christmas all of a sudden. And then right after Christmas, I'm heading back to Florida, and there'll be a New Year's Eve show from Florida again, and looking forward to it. So that's it, everybody. Hopefully you had a great holiday if you were celebrating it, and I will see you back here Thursday night. Same time, same channel as normal. Bye-bye, everybody.